Hello and welcome to episode 10, I think it is, of Block Magazine. And I think I'm a bit blurry, aren't I? So sorry about that. I have a guest with us today, and that is Amy, also known as Pro Life Knitter, and also known as one half of Two Sisters and Some Yarn. How
That's
you
right.
doing, Amy?
I'm good.
Well, I don't think we've got anybody watching.
That's great.
So we can make complete fools of ourselves, so that's okay, isn't it? So what we decided to do this week is do a few live videos where I'm going to go over the magazines that I've released so far. So we've got 6. I'm not sure whether we'll get them all in 1 week, but I'm going to do one tonight with Amy. Going to do another one tomorrow, possibly with Liz Clothier, maybe Anne Pinkover. I'm not sure yet who's going to join us, and then maybe some on Thursday or Friday, but hopefully before New Year. So before we get going, I just want to see if this is going to work. So being a complete idiot, I'm not sure, being the stupidest man in all existence, I'm not sure whether I can get this to do it. So I'm going to try and add the magazine to our screen. There we go. So that worked. Now, I wonder whether there's a way of zooming in on that.
I think if you zoom on your screen, it'll zoom. So let's see.
I have to find it on my screen first.
Like I know when you read the magazine, there's a zoom button because I have to use it. So
here we go.
Yeah, down there. Try that and see. There you go. You
have to thank God you're on with me. If I was on my own now, I'd just be completely. I don't know.
That's how I have to read it because I'm blind.
Anyway, so this time last year, and I remember because it was Boxing Day, we call it Boxing Day in the UK, I was actually writing articles for this first issue. So I think I was writing the article about a certain yarn dyer that is always claiming to be the victim of racism. We'll talk about her a bit later on. But I announced that I was going to be launching the magazine on the Politically Incorrect Knitters with Amy and Anne Pinkover. And then from the beginning of December through till the end of January, I was sort of desperately trying to come up with a way of doing it. And I managed to find this company called Yumpu, also known as, I've forgotten, they've got another name and I've forgotten what, I think it's called iMag, I-Mag. And it's quite easy. What you do is you create a PDF and then you just upload it and then they create the magazine for you, which is quite cool. Did you read the first issue when it came out?
I did. I've read them all.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you're in. I forgot your advert's in the first issue. We'll show that in a minute. Well, before the issue was launched, there was a load of trouble, shall we say. Yeah. And I was going to play the videos, but I thought, it's going to take too long and people have already seen them before. But there were three people released videos saying that whatever you do, don't read this magazine, that this is a racist magazine. Right. It's run by white supremacists. And we don't know what's in it, but we've read it, so you don't have to.
Don't read it. And we don't know what's in it, but we know you shouldn't read it.
Yeah. And they never showed any examples, because that was the other thing, is that you're not allowed to show anything from the magazine, because that would be hurting people more than they already were. So anyway, so the cover, they criticized because they said that I'd used a white model for the cover. And the ironic thing here is I have no idea what race this model is. I don't know whether you can tell.
I wouldn't have thought she was white, but okay.
Yeah, so, and then, the other thing, the first mistake I made was listing everybody's names on the cover. So what they did was they took a screenshot of that and then said that these are the white supremacists that you must not do business with. So from now on, what I do is I make sure people have to look inside the magazine to get the list of people they don't like.
Yes, that's how we ended up on the blacklist, which I don't care about. I don't sell anything anyway. So, oh no, don't shop with me and my free YouTube channel that, whatever.
Well, it wouldn't really matter now because what they do now is they go through my list of everybody I follow and
Yeah.
everybody who follows me, and they just blanket block people, and people don't even realize why. He's like, why? Why have they blocked me?
No, people are like, hey, have you seen this pattern? I'm like, no, let me go see it. I'm like, oh, wait, I can't. I'm sorry, I'm blocked. It's a cool pattern. I might have bought it, but I can't see it. So,
it never fails to sort of shock me why they do it. It's sort of like, why block them? Why don't you just ignore them? You know, I don't know. Anyway, so inside, I listed all the people that were connected, and again, they used that list as a way of blocking people. And I put the this little logo on the right here. Can you see my mouse moving around?
Yeah.
Or that's good.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure whether that showed. So this is the Free Speech Union logo, which is a UK-based union, and the reason that's there is to protect me from UK law.
Right.
It isn't to protect me from USA law. So in the USA, my freedom of speech would probably be protected anyway. Whereas for now, in theory, for now, yeah. Whereas in the UK, we've pretty much lost our freedom of speech. And I know that these guys would sort of jump in if anything happened. They will help people who aren't in the UK as well. So if you're in New Zealand at the moment, which is a dodgy place to be for freedom of speech, or Canada, they will do what they can to help there as well. I did an intro, and this got a lot of pushback as well, because in the intro, I wanted everybody to know that we didn't care about race, we didn't care about anything. But the way I phrased it, they still managed to find a way to say that I was being hateful. So I don't know. There's just no winning.
You breathing is hateful.
Yeah, the air that I exude. Yes. So this is a pattern that was the first pattern actually that was submitted. Oh, we have a cat. Are you going to jump on the keyboard? Don't do that. It's hard enough to get me going on this thing. Don't ruin it for me now.
Now, I will say I've read every issue. I've not knit every pattern.
Oh, no, me neither. There isn't enough time in the days, though, is there? But I like this pattern because it was the way it's knitted. Have you done Tunisian crochet?
I knit and crochet, yeah.
So you know
Tunisian? The Tunisian? Yeah, I've done Tunisian. It's a little, I don't really care for it, but.
Yeah, well, this reminds me, the way it looks like the simple stitch in Tunisian crochet. And she did some really cool photos for this. Okay, and then this was the first article that I wrote. So this is probably the one that I was writing this time last year. And you'll have to forgive me because it has been a year and I probably won't remember what I actually wrote. So I'll probably be misquoting myself as well. I found a pattern a while back, and I really liked it because at the time I thought it was really cool. And it was from 1967, I think it was. And it was by a company called Spinner In, which I think were a German stroke American brand, or the guy that started it was from Germany and then he took it to America. And I'd never seen any of these patterns in this country, so I don't think they were ever released here, at least not to my knowledge. And I tried to find out whether this pattern was available under copyright or whether it wasn't available under copyright. And there is nothing out there. And I have searched, and I'm still searching as we speak because I'm still a bit wary of publishing this pattern. But what I want to do is I want to share the pattern because it's quite cool, I think. It's not completely unusual for in terms of construction for women's sweaters, but for a man's sweater, it's quite unusual. I did a lot of research on this, and I ended up coming to a dead end. So a couple of people have advised me just to publish it and be damned. And then if there's a problem, you just say, right, well, I won't publish it anymore. But then other people
happens to find it, you'd be like, okay, I'll take it down.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I've contacted everybody I think that could possibly own these. The people that bought the company, and then the people that bought that company, and then the people that bought that company. And I managed to get hold of one woman in the end who said, I've never heard of. She somehow owns the or she inherited, I don't know how it was, but she owns the company now, although it's not called that. But she's never even heard of these patents. She's now a craft store, and she inherited their magazine, so she owns what would have been their magazine. So she doesn't even know what it's all about. Yeah. So if anybody out there knows about Spinner In, let me know. I did have one of the people that we're friends with online. She used to be a copyright lawyer. And her advice, well, I wouldn't say it was advice, but what she sort of said was the chances of anybody suing you are quite slim if you're not selling the patent.
Right.
And if you change it, it'll be fine. So I'm a little bit, I'm quite, what's it that I don't want to steal somebody's patent.
No, but I think you did your due diligence, and like BS says in the chat, sometimes it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Yeah.
I say that work all the time.
Oh, the way I've got this set up now, I can't actually see the chat because
I had to do it on my phone.
You'll have to tell me if anybody says anything that I need to put on the screen. So anyway, so this article was just the story about that. And so as usual, the haters were saying, oh, and now he's going to be stealing patents. So, did you, what is your take on the orange lady and her ownership of the color orange, shall we say?
Well, first of all, I want to say the color purple that you kind of use the graphic there. One of my favorite books of all time. But anyway,
it's a great book. Yeah,
and movie. It's a really good movie. Yeah. But anyway, I didn't know who the orange lady was until y'all told me about her.
So you got me to thank for that.
And I don't like the color orange, so I wouldn't have cared if she said it was her. I mean, but saying you own the color orange and nobody, people have to, whatever garbage she said, that's like saying I own rice and you can't eat rice unless it's just like the stupidest thing. You didn't make the colors. God did.
Well, I'd argue with you on that point.
Or science or whatever. But she definitely didn't make the color. So therefore...
Yeah, I used to work with a woman years ago who only ever wore pink, and she dyed her hair pink as well. And I know she would never have dreamed of being sponsored to wear those colors,
Well, hey, if you like it, rock it. I don't care. If you love that color, that's fabulous. But you don't get to tell other people that if they dye an orange color, that they can't do it. Now, if they dye an orange color and steal your logo, okay, well, that's different, Yeah. But no.
So I got criticized for that as well, for picking on her because she's a woman of color.
I didn't know who she was, so
But the thing is, I would have done that article whether she was Chinese, whether she was from Norway. It wouldn't. Her race had absolutely nothing to do with what the story was about, and it didn't even mention her color in the story either. Then I wrote a letter to Knitfluencers, he says with inverted commas, and I put that in the first few issues, but I took it out after a while because I realized that there was no point putting it in because people, the people that I was sending that message to were reading it anyway and wouldn't have cared. And here's I did a cartoon of the Supermarket Sisters. And what was really interesting was that nobody has criticized me for this.
Really? After all this time?
Yeah, nobody has said that I was wrong to draw the Supermarket Sisters. So,
I forget that's not their real name. We did sometimes.
Yeah, I think everyone's started to call them that now, haven't they?
Because I never watched them either. I didn't know, I had kind of heard of them, but I didn't really know who they were. So I was like, whatever, I don't know who they are either. So,
well, I say they used to be good. Maybe it's just that my tastes have changed in terms of podcasters, but they did used to do quite a good show, which was quite informative and stuff. But now it just seems to be like an advert for dyers and people that are people of color. You know, that seems to be what they're about now. And when you watch one of their shows, it's just a constant, hi, Gigi, hi, Adela, hi, Fatima, you know, and it's like, you're trying too hard to
right. Well, I
come
would want to
across,
watch
you know.
if it was an advertisement, period. I don't care who you're advertising for. Like a lot of podcasters do that. I mean, show me what you got, you know,
Yeah.
but show me out, you know, are you buying it and showing it to me because you want to suck up to that dyer, or, you know, no. I mean, if you're sponsored, I get it, obviously, like politically incorrect. They're just sponsored by Chicken Lady. Okay, but they clearly say we're sponsored by Chicken Lady, you know. Now, I just so happen to buy Chicken Lady yarn. I have a lot of it to show, but if your whole podcast is an advertisement, I'm not watching it anyway. I don't care what color you or they are. I don't care. So
yeah. Well, yeah, it gets a bit boring as well because they don't sort of talk about anything other than, you know, yarn they've been given, basically. And I think they get given it. I don't think they buy it. I think mostly.
Maybe so. And, you know, hey, if that's a gig you get into, hey, I can't blame you.
Oh, is there a dog in the room?
That was my dog. Sorry.
Oh no! Don't apologize. Get him on if he comes on. Is it he or she?
They're not allowed on the. We got the new sofa, so the animals are not allowed on the sofa. So I have trained them to not get on it. And so she's pacing around, and she finally found her bed.
Oh, have you not given in once? Not even once.
Nope. The cats can get on our laps, but not if we're not here. So we have these static training mats. Which, yes, I'm a horrible person that has a training mat for my animal, and it's like the equivalent of you touching a doorknob if you shuffle across the carpet. You know,
right. Yeah, you get the electric shock.
Yeah, not a shock. Static. But I have that. I put those on the sofa when we're not home. And I've only heard it go off a couple of times. And they were like, whoa. So they know if we're sitting, they can get on my lap. But if we're not sitting, they can't get up here. So
people are ringing the animal. What do you call we call it the RSPCA. What's your version of it?
They have an ASPCA, but then they have animal control, and everybody's different in every state, every area. So,
this is Liz's block tat. She actually designed this before. I think it may have been a couple of years before I did Block Magazine.
She did.
And there's a story behind this hat, which she's told once before on. She'll probably tell us again tomorrow when she comes on. I can't remember the exact story, but it's about somebody being blocked, obviously. And she offered this for the magazine because of the name, because I didn't know about this hat beforehand. But then somebody contacted her privately and said, "Oh, do you know that racist has stolen your pattern?"
See, she's so much better than me because I don't think she even replied to the person. Because I would have been like, "Oh, are you serious?"
Got wound up.
I would totally play along with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna sue.
Because I'm evil. So Liz is a good person.
I don't know. You religious types.
But there's petty-ins in me that I can't get out.
Then we had Kia's Unity Cal, and I think that's still running, isn't it? I think, or is it ended now? Maybe it's ended now.
I thought it ended in the end of the year, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, because there were 4 quarters to it, wasn't there? So it will have ended by now.
But maybe she'll do it again. She's dying again, so maybe she'll do it again.
Yeah, I mean, I keep meaning to go on the shop and have a look because I've got quite a bit of her yarn that I bought
purposely
before.
not gone and looked.
Well, yeah, I've spent way too much these last couple of months. Really, really too much money. So I'm trying. Well, I thought, all right, that's it. I'm not going to buy anymore. And then Euphoria Knits has got a sale on.
I know.
And it's a really good sale. So
I was like, I'm not going to get anything. And then Lynn's like, hey, here's 30% off.
It's not right. It's not fair. They need to have like a couple of months holiday where they don't create anything, so we can have a break.
No, in January. Can I just take January off, please?
Well, Kia wrote a small article to go with the K Cal, as she called it. And she talked a little bit about how white conservatives, and I don't know if she mentions religion in this, I don't know, how they were discriminated against, basically, and bullied. So they really picked up on this. But the funny thing is they didn't know that Kia had written this, and they were saying that I'd written it. And they still quote things from this to this day about what I've said. And it kind of always makes me smile, because I just think, well, you clearly haven't read it. You know, because it says at the top who has written the article.
Right.
You know? Then this was the first Dissident that I did, and at the beginning I had really high hopes for this. So the idea behind it is that they're not secret. Well, they are secret, I suppose. Is that they're patterns for dishcloths?
Yeah.
And you won't know what it is.
I've made most of those. I haven't made the ones from the last issue yet.
Well, one of them is Christmas related.
I did see that. So I was like, oh, good. I'm glad I saw that.
Yeah, well, it's you were in my mind when I did that, actually, because I knew I knew there would be other people out there that wouldn't really be doing anything Christmas like, you know. So I thought, right, I'll do that for Amy. So it's especially for you. So if people don't like it, it's Amy's fault.
And you haven't had any like saucy ones. You say every time that some will be, you know, and I'm like, where's the saucy ones? We haven't had a saucy one yet.
I keep chickening out. I do. I keep chickening out, and I think what
I'm not
the
going
idea
to curse people out, but
oh, the first one will be about you then, Amy. I'm gonna... Something really rude. No, what the idea was originally was that I was going to have one that was going to be tame and polite and normal, and then the other one was going to be something rude. But then the problem is what I didn't anticipate how much work would be involved in doing them, and I just can't do two every issue. I can do one an issue, so I am going to do some dodgy ones this year, and I'm going to be asking people so I can blame them when people are when people are like really horrified by it.
You can do one that's like not an insult, could be an insult but isn't an insult. Like how Southerners say, bless your heart, and it's all in our tone. So you could do like some, you know.
How do we knit the tone in?
You just do bless your heart, and then it depends on the recipient. Here, bless your heart, you know? So it just depends.
So it depends where you're from, whether you'll get that or not. Yeah, because most British people will be like, what? And, Tuscan Knits, Maria.
I know.
I did
totally buy her mystery grab bag. I totally did.
Yeah, I got mine just the other day. I was
Yours
so pleased.
So pretty.
Yeah, it's funny because one of them I would definitely have bought, the teal one, because there was a teal one, a very red brown, and then a brown. The teal one I would have bought absolutely. The other two probably wouldn't have chosen, but now I've got them and I keep looking at them. I'm definitely going to be knitting with something with them soon because I really like them.
They definitely. I thought they all three went well together. Like I could see them all together. You know.
What did you get? What colors did you get?
I got a light, almost a minty green mohair, and then a fingering one, and then
in the same color.
Yeah, like same color. And then the second bag was I don't remember how many it came out to be, but some other ones were, I guess they're worsted weight because they were much smaller skeins. So she gave me more of those. So I guess equate the amount, the yardage or whatever, which they weren't colors I would necessarily have picked, but all of her colors are pretty. So, you know, and
well, sometimes
you could trade if people, you know.
Well, sometimes I kind of like that because I've done it with Lynn. I've done it once with Lynn. I've done it with Potion Yarns. I've done it with Maria. Have I done it with Euphoria? No, I've not done it with Euphoria Knits, but I kind of like not knowing sometimes because I struggle to choose colours because I just think, oh, is that too girly? Is that too... And sometimes when they turn up and there's a bit of pink in them, they're actually all right.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I could get away with that. You know,
that's why I struggle with like mystery things because and the only reason I did Lynn's Advent was because I was like, okay, I don't do Christmas. Do you promise me that these are not all Christmas colors? And she's like, promise. I'm like, okay.
So can I ask this about, because I know why you don't, but is it a forbidden thing or is it just something you don't do?
It's just part of my religion. We don't keep any of holidays that are not biblical. So since it's not a holy convocation in the Bible, we don't do it.
But it's not something you wouldn't get into trouble with the powers that be if you received a Christmas Carol thing in the post, though, would you?
Well, and it's about intent. Like I remember years ago, because my dad was not in the church, and I remember years ago being like, "What am I supposed to do?" He always gives Christmas presents, and the minister was like, "It is more disrespectful for you to turn away his present. You know what you believe, and he's trying to show you his love, and he doesn't understand why, you wouldn't, so people have given me gifts, and I used to buy the kids' teachers, like, thank God you made it to December and didn't kill my kids' presents,
Yeah.
But they're in high school now, so I don't care. I'm not buying 14 presents. So, and then like I'll give my coworker and my boss a present, but I don't keep any of the stuff, but I enjoy watching everybody else, do stuff. And I'll watch a Christmas movie. I don't care. It's a movie, It doesn't make me keep it,
Well, I'm more of a hypocrite though, aren't I? Because I'm not religious at all, and yet I fully partake in the Christmas whatever. And I don't.
Most people, I think that's generally speaking, most people.
So why anybody might say anything against how you do it, I don't know, because at least you're sticking to the principles of your faith, aren't you? I suppose.
Yeah, and people ask, and I'll tell them, and I'm like, look, it's not in the Bible. Sorry, it's just not. So, but...
I'm going to keep saying that now. It's not in the Bible. Everything that comes up, it's not in the Bible.
A lot of people genuinely dumbfounded. Like, yes, it is. I'm like, no, it's not. Go look it up. His birth is mentioned, but it is not a commanded day to keep. So, but not that I fault people, Faye. That's your religion. That's your faith.
I've got a cheeky question. Well, it's not cheeky, but a devil's advocate question for you, which I'm sure you've had before. How are you with mixed fibers?
Wait, what?
Mixed fibers, because that's in the Bible, isn't it? You mustn't wear fibers of mixed whatever.
No,
it's in Deuteronomy.
That's a Pharisees, and that's no. Now you're getting to the weeds there. Christ specifically said, "Don't nitpick all this little stuff."
I'm sure he said no mohair and merino together. People will be in the comments now saying, "Oh, he didn't know what he's on about."
What? Sorry, y'all.
Anyway, on this page, we've got a list of test knitters and test crocheters, and I update this. So some people on this list now have come off and other people have been added since. And I keep asking the patrons of the magazine, whether they want me to keep this in. And the percentage of people that do is about 80% want to keep this in.
Yeah. I will never be on it because I am a terrible tester. But
well, Tabitha's on it. Tabitha's usually the one wanting everybody's test knits, isn't she?
And Denise should be on it because she's a pretty decent tester, but she already tests for a couple other people, and she's like me. She doesn't want to commit to more than,
I don't know whether anybody actually uses it for the reason it's there. So if you design something, anybody out there design something, and you haven't got a tester, come to this page. I'd go to the latest magazine all the time because some people in this one now aren't on it anymore.
And
just ask them.
I did not do that. When I sent you the shawl, I did not go, "Hey, let me look and see who was the testers." That was a good idea.
And I didn't even suggest it to you because I remember you asking for testers, and I'd never even thought to say.
Sorry.
What I would say, I know everybody on our side of this game, everybody's very polite generally, aren't they? But what I would say is if you ask somebody on the list to be a tester and they say no, or they don't want to, be polite about it because they're doing it for free, aren't they? They're even, unless you're going to provide the yarn and whatever, then I don't think you should, be horrible to anybody who's tested. Not that anyone ever has, that to my knowledge. So, and obviously, if you're looking, we put ticks next to what they are prepared to do.
Right.
So some people will do anything, and other people will only.
There's some great souls on that list. I'm like, oh no, I have.
Well, I think we've even added tatting in, which it's a bit like crochet, isn't it? Tatting.
I don't know anything about that. So.
Yeah, I think is it Therese? Therese, I think, does tatting. I can't remember.
I can't remember. I think so.
Oh, then we went on to customer service, which is quite relevant now because I was kind of a bit ahead, a year ahead of what's going on, really. But I started off by talking about men knitting and how they are treated in yarn shops. And it wasn't a while.
Liar, you don't ever get treated wrong.
Oh, wait. Yeah, I
Such
think
a liar.
the tone of this possibly came over, you know, in the wrong way, because what I was trying to do was make a point, because it was about Adela, you know,
Right.
her story was that she went into a yarn store, and before she could even look at any yarn or anything, the person behind the desk in this particular yarn store said to her, the toilets are for customers only. And then Adela turned around and walked out. And, you know, you had the supermarket sisters crying about this story, you know, saying how sad it was. And yeah, it isn't nice. It's not particularly nice. But
yeah, that's a crappy thing to say, regardless. So,
but unless this is the thing, unless that shopkeeper had specified her race, it's very difficult to say that that was because of her skin color. I mean, if you're used to those things happening to you, and granted, racism exists, I'm not saying it doesn't.
Correct, yeah.
You know, you probably will immediately make it about that because you think it's about that. Well, she didn't make it about race specifically. But the thing is, the point is that worse things, far worse things, have happened to a lot of us. And it's not even about men. It's not about black people. It's not about women. It's, you know, a lot of people have had bad experiences in different shops because of bad customer service. And so obviously I got loads of kickback on this, saying, oh, you know, poor men, you know, poor blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. But then in the year since writing this, there's been quite a lot of people that have started speaking out a little bit. So Arne and Carlos, they recently, well, I say recently, sometime in this last year, I don't know exactly when it was, they went into a store in America. And it was a customer, though. It wasn't a member of staff. A customer started to scream at them, this is not a shop. You know, men aren't allowed in this shop. This is for women only. And she wouldn't stop. And I think the shop owner got rid of her, basically. But I think Arnie was so freaked out by it that they just left.
As you should be,
yeah, because you would, wouldn't you? You know, because it's, and now that is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Now I would fully support Adela if what the person had said, you know, get out of this shop because it's for whites only. You know, I would be like fully behind her. Yeah, that would be absolutely disgusting.
Well, and I still think she's right for saying. I mean, it is a crappy thing for that person to say. First thing you walk in the door and they say toilets is, but that's not what I came in here for. I came in here for yarn. But I mean, what I would have done if I were her, and I'm not her, obviously, I'm not a black woman like you are, Neil, but I would have walked in, I would have turned, I would have Pretty Womaned it. I would have walked back in and
bought the whole store.
Do you make commission? Because you just lost a lot of money. I would have Pretty Womaned it. You know, I would, you know.
Oh yeah, there's no denying that it's a horrible thing to say to someone. That wasn't the point that I was ever making.
Right.
But the point is that it's not. Oh, I just genuinely didn't think it was about her race, because the thing that I've found out about Adela since is that a lot of people have seen her at yarn events with such a face of thunder that they're scared to approach her stall, you know, because she just isn't very happy.
And resting bitch face is a real thing. It is, you know.
And, you know, there's a lot of allegations against her being racist, which I've kind of proven by showing some of the videos that she's done. But there was somebody who we know who went to buy some yarn from her stall. This is a while back now. And she actually said, no, that isn't for you. But then would sell it to a black person who came to the store. So again, this is a he said, she said kind of scenario. But it's almost like, you know, she would do the same kind of thing, you know. So anyway, so the reason why I wrote this article was just to make that point. And I used if you look here, the lady at the bottom left here. Now, people thought I was cruel for this. Now, here's the thing. I absolutely love this lady's podcast. I watch it whenever she does them. She doesn't do them very often now. She's funny. She makes me laugh. I know in another universe we'd actually be friends. But She
Right.
hates me. We've conversed a few times. She despises me because I voted for Brexit. And she thinks that that's the end of the world. You know, she thinks everything bad that has happened ever is because of Brexit. And this particular photo is her official photo from her website, or it was at the time of writing this.
Mhm.
So, and I was thinking that everybody's going to think I've chosen a really unflattering picture on purpose, but I didn't. That is the picture she has chosen for herself. But the point I was writing about with her is that she is openly anti-men. You know, if men go in her store, and she said that they do, she deliberately makes them wait until she has served women. And it's like there'll be women now watching saying, oh, good, you know, that men deserve that. But the thing is, it's not a good way to operate a business, because if that happened to me in a yarn store, I wouldn't go back there again.
First come, first serve. I don't care what you got down in your trunk. Okay.
Yeah.
Pull your wallet out and pay for your stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And if the man's there to buy yarn, then he's a customer. He's, you know, if he's come in and he's, you know, wanting to buy something else and he's being an idiot, but, you know, fair dues. But so that's why I wrote about her. And fair dues to her. I did ask her if she wanted to give feedback on this, and she didn't. But she's never commented on it at all, which I think is quite. It's kind of the way I think a lot of people should when these things happen. I wish I was a bit more like that. You know, when say bitchy knitter says things, you know, I wish I could just be quiet and say nothing. Well, exactly. I kind of. I don't know about what you're like, but I kind of like that cut and thrust of because I think it's a bit of a game, all of this, really. Do you know what I mean? It's like
I like it to a point. I'm kind of like a cat, and I'll play with the dead mouse, but when I'm done, I'll just walk away. I'm done.
Yeah, you don't eat it. You just
no. You don't roll in it. You don't eat it, throw it up, and roll in it. No, you just play with the dead mouse and then go on your merry way. So.
And then this image here with the Golden Girls. Wow, this almost is the thing that stopped. You know, was the failure of the magazine, because I think had Betty White just died.
She died at the New Year's.
Ah, right. So she just because this was launched January 31st.
Like she was like 2022 out.
So she just died, and so I put this picture on Patreon to show people what I was going to be writing about, and some people thought that I was being really mean to the Golden Girls, but I had to sort of explain, no, there's a story behind this. I'm not just putting a picture of the Golden Girls like this for no reason, you know.
Because if you did, it would be a picture of honor, because the Golden Girls are awesome.
Well, yeah, I mean, I watched it. I've watched every episode, and I never watched the thing that came after it. What was it? The Palace.
I did. I watched it when I had COVID. When I had COVID and I was trapped in my room, I watched Golden Palace, I think it's called.
Yeah, I don't think it ever came here.
It's not bad, which ironically has a very good episode on actual racism in it.
Wish I'd have known that. Why didn't you tell me that when I was writing this?
Because I didn't watch it until I had COVID.
Well, this has become.
Don Cheadle plays in it. He works at the hotel with them, and I love him. He's a great actor. And there's a whole episode about why Blanche doesn't understand why he finds the Confederate flag offensive, and it's like, really. And so he does a really good scene about it, and she realizes, yeah, that was a pretty jerk thing to do, and you know, so actually it was pretty good.
So, well, isn't that your land, the Confederate flag? Isn't that where you're from?
Well, yeah, of course, all Southerners are racist, duh.
All of them, without any doubt.
All of them. All of them. Mississippi for until like literally last year or the year before had the Confederate flag on their state flag still.
Oh, wow.
And they changed it, and I thought somebody else did too, but maybe not. Maybe I can't remember. I don't want to disparage any other states.
Well, I'm going to be writing
we have a pelican, so.
I'm going to be writing a little bit about this to do with the cotton famine, which I don't know when I'm going to do it, because it's quite a big subject, and I've got quite a bit of research to finish. But one of the things that over here that people don't like to mention anymore is that Liverpool, where the Beatles are from, is it's Manchester's biggest rival. Where I am, Liverpool and Manchester have been rivals for years,
Right.
and it all comes down to the American Civil War, because Liverpool were on the Confederate side, and apparently there were more Confederate flags on the ports in Liverpool than there were in the port in America, whichever one it was.
Did not know that.
So I'm going to be writing about that eventually. So
well,
my Liverpool friends,
very, very white ancestors picked the cotton too.
and my ancestors spun that cotton and weaved that cotton. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So this story with the Golden Girls, it's about yarn that was dyed by Lady Di, who is very topical at the moment. And sorry, say that again.
You had premonitions.
I did, yeah. This is me looking in my crystal ball. And the yarn here, this is a picture of the yarn that one of the customers was sent. And I don't know, I can't remember the full details, but it was very expensive. She tends to charge a lot for very little. I think it was like $90, I think her latest mini set is or something. I don't know. But anyway, this was supposed to be the Golden Girls colours. And
that is not Golden Girls colours at all.
It's very lazy 80s colours is how I would perceive it. Because the Golden Girls, although some of them did wear bright colours, it was more pastels then.
It was a lot of pastel. In fact, I just finished a pair of mittens from Night Owl Fibers, and it was Golden Girls colors. And it was the pinks, the beige, the blue, the orange, maybe another lighter yellow. And they were all very pastel-y because the furniture and it looked like the living room. You know, the pink couch with the wicker. And, that's Golden Girls. Blanche was the only one that would have worn a bright pop of color like that.
Blanche may have done every now and again. And I think towards the end they were wearing darker colours, but they still weren't day glow. They weren't, highlighter yellow, for example. And anyway, the person that bought this said, they were like clown colours. And she sent this to Lady Di, and Lady Di did this whole video and this whole thing to try and humiliate this customer. And there's a whole story behind it. It's really bad. And the customer service was just atrocious, and that's why she was featured. And then if you don't know what's happening with Lady Di, go to issue 5 of Blocked, and you'll be able to read a really good summary that was written based on stuff that's been posted on Reddit, because it's bad. We'll get to that later on, but bad. Oh, and then I absolutely love this. I keep meaning to make it, and I haven't made it yet. But this is from Trish of Yankee Rose Creations. I think
I should make that for my kid.
I just think it's it's such a clever and simple design, because you know exactly what it is. You know when you see it, it's the emoji, isn't it? So good. And there's 2 different versions. So this is the mini version here, and then the sorry, it's there. It's the big version there, isn't it?
A little.
And I think they were saying, it's so apt that that's in there. It's like, grow up. Says me, who was giggling because I was putting it in the first place. And here we go. This is your bit.
That's me.
You got into the first issue.
I know, you were like, you were in the first issue. I'm like, wait, what? I was? Oh, yeah.
And I bought the yarn. I've got the yarn. I haven't made it yet, and I think it's going to be one of the first cast-ons I'm going to make in January.
It is really pretty yarn. It really is. And we finished our make-along, and we raised over $1,100. And
wow!
I was sent over 200-something handmade items for Let Them Live, and it actually ended up turning into me being an official volunteer for them, so that I could send this stuff out to the moms. So I'm still in the process of finishing the onboarding stuff. There's HIPAA stuff and all kinds of stuff you have to do as an official volunteer. And then I think they said once these December babies, we get a final list of December babies, then I'll be sending stuff to them, and then it'll just go on from there. So I'll be collecting for a while, but one particular lady sent over like 188 items herself. So I think I actually probably had like 250.
That was amazing, wasn't it? I saw the video. I think, wasn't I one of the only ones that was on that video? Was it?
I was like, that's just crazy. I was like, and she's like, I don't want to win anything. And I'm like, well, haha, the number generator gave you something anyway. So here's your prize.
Oh, did
And
she get an entry for everything
yeah,
she'd
well, I
entered?
did one entry like period, so that if
Right.
you know sent 100 things, it didn't matter whether you sent one or 100. So anybody that
Right.
donated money and or items got an entry, and then I just put them all on a spreadsheet. And I had some local homeschool girls come over, help me sort everything out, make sure I had everybody on there, and then I did a number generator on the spreadsheet. Which thank you again for donating the gift cards for
Oh, you're welcome.
Chicken
You're
Lady
welcome.
and I winted. I think I got everybody their prizes. I had to go track a couple people down.
Yeah, I had the what do you call it? I got the 2 vouchers from Tina and from Lynn, and I sent them to you, didn't I? And I was
Yeah, and
like,
I got them. I got them to where they're
I
supposed to be.
hope I can trust Amy not to spend these.
I know. Like
God.
I had to go ask them. I was like, "Did they catch that in yet?" And they're both like, "No." I'm like, "Okay, well, let me go track them down and make sure they know they won because you know
Oh, have they
genuinely."
cashed them in now? Do you know? Or not?
I made sure they both know. So
Right.
I think everybody knows, and I know I physically mailed everything that was the physical prize. But I was
Yeah.
like, look, I mean, I could repick if I have to, but I mean, people donated, and you genuinely won. I wanted you to get what you want, you know. So
No, that's brilliant. And I think there was, I think you got quite a bit of pushback from the idiots, didn't you, for doing this?
a little bit, and I know that I
Yeah.
wasn't going to offset, you know, the crazy lady that donated supposedly $10,000 to abortion fund. But you know what? Okay, so I don't care. That's babies. We helped babies. I don't care.
Yeah.
And thus, that's why I created Pro Life Knitter, so that I would not annoy my sister.
Did you see that thing recently, which I only found out about when I saw the article, that it's now illegal to
I
say
did.
prayers in the vicinity of an abortion clinic, and it's just like, how would anybody know? So
How would
basically,
you even know? Yeah.
well, what the lady who's been arrested, the silly mistake she made was that she admitted that she may have been praying. It's like, well, really, she should have stuck to her guns and said, "Prove it."
Well, right,
I
but
was
in what
praying.
Orwellian world are we living in that the thought police are going to tell you where you could pray? I mean, that's like saying there's a car accident and I can't pray over these people that I just drove by that are in a fatal car accident.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the people who are very pro-abortion were saying, "Oh, well, you know, you don't pray over broken legs and things like that." And it's like, well, no, but you might pray
But
over someone who's dying or
no, I
about
would
to
pray
die.
over an injury, absolutely. So
Well, yeah, there you go. I mean, even people who are atheists would, you know, when it comes down to it, may say a prayer in their moment, you know,
right,
the real
right,
desperate moments.
right,
They believe then, don't they? Says me.
right. I mean, prayer is pretty doggone important before death because you know after death you're not doing it. So I mean,
Oh, and now we've got the laziest knitter. So it's the Lazy Knitter's Guide by the Laziest Knitter, and I love these articles.
I know I like her. I don't know who she is, but I like her.
Yeah, and I mean, I do know who it is, and for the time being, this person prefers to be
No, I think she should be
anonymous.
secret. Yeah, no, I think
Yeah.
it should be a secret.
Yeah,
It's
there's
like,
something quite. I do get a bit of a kick out of it every time because I just
like
think,
Carrie keeps saying on the program that one day we should unmask Mystery Chris, and I'm like, no, leave him. I know who he is, but leave him a mystery. I like the mystery of it.
Well, yeah, because when I was talking about doing these lives, there was a couple of people that I know would be really good on here, but they don't want to put their face to anything because they don't want the
Yeah, and that's
backlash.
fine.
And I'd be happy for them to come on without, like Mystery
Right.
Chris does. It is
Right.
Chris, isn't it? Mystery Chris. And
It's
have
not
them
actually
on.
his name, but yeah.
No, I believed his mother and father named him that. Yeah. but yeah, the Laziest Knitter, and the Laziest Knitter is not lazy at all. And every single issue, the article that the Laziest Knitter writes is the first one in the inbox. And no matter how many times I say you don't have to format it, because now we've got the graphic designer, they'll do it for you, and it's always really nicely formatted and beautifully illustrated. So somebody called Abby does the illustrations, I believe.
Okay.
I think I might be wrong there though, and I'm not even sure who that is. But we attributed it to Abby. But yeah, she always does really good articles, and they're always quite thought provoking as well. So yeah, I've just read the latest one because it's the first submission for issue 7 is already in as well. Now we're on to Anne Pinkover, our friend Anne. So this is turned out to be quite funny, really, because nobody has noticed. In terms of the people that hate the magazine, none of them have made the connection with this pattern and I've forgotten his name, Lawrence Fox, because this is Lawrence Fox's political party.
Well, do you really think the haters even know who Lawrence Fox is? Do you think they're aware of anything outside of their bubble?
Yeah, maybe I'm being naive. Maybe I'm giving them too much intelligence. But I kind of got a kick out of the fact that this was here, and they just, because Anne has kind of always, Anne's been at the forefront of a lot of things, but she always seems to go under the radar. You know, they never seem to go for it, or at least they haven't done. I don't know whether they have recently or not. And it's almost like they're too scared to take Anne on, I think. You know,
well, I would be.
Well, yeah, because she's, you know, I think there's a level of intelligence there that you kind of know she's going to say something. If you had a disagreement with her, you know she's going to know something.
You like a knife. Yeah, no way. But she reminds me of an old minister I used to have who was like, he would reprimand you, but you didn't realize it at the time. And then afterwards you were like, I think he was correcting me. But he did it so nicely that I didn't realize he was correcting me. That's how I picture Anne giving somebody a what for. You know, like afterwards you'd be like, I feel educated and also that I got corrected.
Yeah, but I don't feel bad about it.
I don't feel bad about it. Thank you.
Yeah, she reminds me. I just think she's a bit like a chess player. I just have this thing that she's always a few steps ahead of everybody else. You know? Oh, but this is a great pattern, because even if you don't support the Reclaim party, it would be very, very easy to just knit the ribbed pattern without doing the design. But also, she allowed me to put in a blank design, so you could put your own in, and the pattern will still work.
Yeah.
So that was really kind of her, because basically that, you know, is her thing, isn't it? That's her pattern. And she has a really cool way of doing intarsia in the round.
Yes.
And it takes a bit of, well, what you do, you just have to do what she says. It's one of the things, if you try and think too much about it, you end up not knowing what you're doing, which is obviously what I was doing, because obviously, you know, you think you're more clever than the pattern designer, you know. But no, it's if you follow what she says exactly, you can do it right and it'll work.
I think I kind of do what she does, but I don't do intarsia. I only do that when I'm like adding a color. So like the way that she does it, I do that, but I don't you know, keep going to carry a color. It's just like if I'm putting in a new yarn or I'm striping or something. I don't do an actual pattern like that. So I've never tried it that way, and I think I'd get frustrated.
Well, I did a test knit for this hat for and my intarsia. I mean, I followed the pattern. It wasn't the pattern. Nothing in the pattern was wrong, but my intarsia technique, you know, the actual on the logo is so bad. I can do Fair Isle, but I just can't do intarsia. It's always too baggy, you know, at the crossover point. It's funny, isn't it? It's like I can do brioche dead easily. I can do Fair Isle easily, but I can't do intarsia, and I struggle with cables as well. They always come out baggy. Here we go. Now, this you remember what was she called now? She's gone out of business now, and I've forgotten her name. Hey J Yarns. Yeah. So she's a British weirdo who with dyed hair, and she took a particular interest in trying to get the magazine taken down, and she claimed to have read the magazine, and she did a video which was sort of, what the fuck, knitters, and all this sort of thing about how evil I was, and you know, all this stuff to do with it being like a third grade, you know, the fonts and everything. Hands up, I am not a graphic designer. We'll talk about that later. What was funny though is that she put it online on Instagram, and then they all attacked her for sharing what was in it, and it's like, so this is
you read it. You didn't follow the rules.
Yeah. And that means now people will see exactly what's in it, and they'll be able to decide themselves if it's racist. It's like, what? But this is the only thing that they think they've got on me. And it's this Chinese waitress. And the interesting thing about this is, so what it's about is the story is, I think it was, is it Lane or Laney magazine? I don't know how you pronounce it. They made this big announcement that they were no longer going to call the Chinese waitress Caston the Chinese waitress Caston. They're going to give it this other name that, you know, something like the, oh, I can't even remember now, the chain Caston or something, because they say that it's racist. Well, the story behind this is about a literal Chinese waitress who taught someone how to do this Caston. And the person that then made it famous in the knitting world is kind of giving a nod of acknowledgement to that particular waitress. And it's not she's not dissing Chinese people. She's not dissing waitresses. It's exactly the same as calling it the German short row or the English rib.
You know, it's passed on.
Yeah, exactly. There's no difference. The only difference is that he's kind of naming a waitress. But then you could say, well, what about the fisherman rib? You know, that's naming a job. So that would be the same, you know. So anyway, I did this whole breaking news with all the American newscasters on it and about this thing. So I did this illustration, and one of the things they accused me of was using a font that was racist. So the Chinese waitress at the top, they said that that's racist font use. And I just thought, oh, get a grip, you know what I mean? It's like,
well, I hope they never eat at any Chinese restaurants, because every single solitary Chinese restaurant uses that font on their name.
Well, what no one knows is that I've got a very good friend whose wife is Chinese from Sichuan. She isn't Hong Kong. She isn't a Hong Konger. She's actually Sichuanese. She's an English teacher, so she was teaching English in China. And so before I did any of it, I consulted with her for every single step of this, because I asked her about the drawing. I asked her to write the Chinese for me, so she actually wrote. So, and the thing is, nobody's ever been able to translate what that's, or nobody's made, you know, I don't think any of our people probably thought it meant anything anyway, but it actually has a very relevant meaning. And she rewrote it twice, because there's a nuance in it which is decided by, I think it's the last character, which makes it even more relevant, you know. And I think what they thought was that I just found some random Chinese symbols and just crammed them all in, you know, as if but he does actually say something. So basically the idea is that
you're not gonna tell us what it says?
No.
I'm out.
I tell you what, here's the thing. I will give a prize to the first person that translates it correctly. And it has to be correctly. So not just so go and find your Chinese friends. And then they'll be saying, oh my God, this is so racist. But what was interesting, though, is that I've got a friend from Hong Kong, very Western. He now lives in Australia. I sent it to him as well. And he said it was racist. And I think this is really interesting, because it's like second generation people of a migrant seem to be very touchy about stuff. And I would class Hong Kongers as, they've been brought up as British, basically, because they were a British colony, weren't they? Or a British whatever. So a lot of people from Hong Kong don't consider themselves Chinese. And so they have a very Western view on these things, whereas everybody from China, well, the irony is this friend who teaches English, she came over here and her husband ended up working away. So she ended up being on her own, really, for a while. So she got a job as a Chinese waitress in a Chinese restaurant in Manchester's Chinatown. So the whole thing was like, you know, it kind of was about her in the end. And one of the things that she said was she said, I'm actually really touched that people would name it after somebody, you know, just doing a job teaching, you know. She thought it was quite a nice story. So yeah, I will debate anybody over this being racist.
Right. They could have called it the waitress. I mean, obviously the person didn't know their name, or they could have used their name, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. And they would have done. They would have done that.
Right.
So are these the drawings that I did of the news people? Could you tell who they all were?
Oh yeah. So let's say Anderson Cooper, that crazy lady, Rachel, whoever. Oh, sorry, the token black guy.
You racist.
Don Lemon. I forgot. I was trying to think of what stupid thing he said that pops out the most, but he said so many stupid things. And is that Tucker Carlson at the bottom?
It is, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's my favorite one because he always has that kind of confused face.
They're all talking heads, you know. But...
and then the image as well is the socks are the pattern that the offending pattern that used the Chinese waitress cast on that was in the Lane magazine or Laney magazine.
Which I've ever not actually done that cast on, so I guess I should go find a Chinese waitress and learn it.
No, it's a good. I can teach you that if you want. It's a good cast on. Well, somebody did say that we should do a tutorial on it. So I'm thinking of doing a whole episode where we
just do a whole series of every like appropriated the fisherman, the Chinese waitress, the English, the
German. Yeah, might just make a few up as well. You know. Just to be on the, you know. Oh, this advert. Oh. People, they was like, oh my God, you know, my 4-year-old could do better. Yeah, I'm sure they could.
Look, man, I own my MS Paint and I enjoy it. All right, leave me alone.
Well, that was one of them. One of the people said, "Oh, it's like the only software he's got is Microsoft Publisher." Like, yeah, that is the software I was using.
Buy me a coffee and then I can buy software.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, you know, this is an amateur production. You know, I'm not never pretending to be an expert.
You read it anyway, so give me some money.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. How did they know it was even in there? This is the thing, you know. And where did they?
That one guy that got assigned to read it for everybody, and then he just spread the word. You know?
Yeah. Oh, drop stitch of the month. I'm thinking of changing this from next year, so I don't know what people think of this. But what I think I want to do is do. I don't know. I'm still thinking, so it's only formulating ideas. But I'm thinking of doing a Santa's naughty or nice thing. So, you know, still running with the whole evil Santa thing, but having people in that have done something that we want to share, as in something good. So, for example, the fundraising you've done, I mean, it's too late to put you in now. Sorry, you've missed your moment. But, you know, if somebody in our world does something that we think, no, people need to know about that. But then it would mean drawing them as well. So, like here, you know, like I've drawn Adela here. So some people might not like that. So this is why I've kind of, I'm still a little bit undecided about it. Because I don't really want to, I don't know. I don't want to offend anybody, but at the same time, I don't really want people to be all like, "Ooh, don't draw me. Don't give me a big nose." Or
don't draw me.
I already have. No,
draw like a pro-life singer, whatever. Don't draw me. But you could do the naughty and the nice in like a holiday thing, and keep the drop stitch. You could do drop stitch and pick up stitch or something like that. You know.
Yeah. Well, I suppose though with the people who are Block supporters, they're not going to be bothered about me using a photograph, because the only reason why I've mentioned this on Instagram the other day, the only reason why I do the drawings is so that I don't get accused of stealing anybody's photos, you know, because that's what they would do. They would say, you haven't got permission to publish my photo, you know. But this is the article now, the big one, the one that got all the people, you know, got their underwear in a twist. It's the Walking on Broken Glass. Now, I think everybody watching that must know the story, the Christy Glass story. So I'll just put it in one sentence. Basically, Lady Di is the one. She raised the issue initially, which I didn't know when I wrote this, that she accused Christy Glass of being a racist for showing the picture of Michelle Obama without knitting on the cover of Vogue. And the moment Lady Di shared that, our friend Adela from Lola Bean Yarn Company, so sue me, she jumped on the bandwagon, which she has done a couple of times now. And I'll mention this in when we come to issue 3, I think it is. Well, so when we do that one, I'll mention this again. But she somehow manages to get herself in the middle of these dramas. She seems to implant herself there. And she did a series of videos that I've still got, and in the birthday issue in January, I'm going to put a link in the magazine which will take you directly to those videos if you so choose to watch them, because And I'm also going to have the full transcript of what she said.
Scan the QR code now to see the nonsense.
Yeah, because what I want people to see is because this article is mostly her own words. You know, it's just me stringing her words together into, you know, a coherent form. You know, there's nothing. I haven't said anything here that she didn't say. You know what I mean? All of it, and it's bad. And this isn't even all of it. The transcript I did was 7 pages long, you know, of all of the nonsense that she said. It was bad. So what I'm going to do is have the transcript and a link so you can read along as you listen.
So really, you know, they're one guy that has to read your magazine to tell them you're our one guy who watches all the garbage so that we don't have to watch it.
Oh my God, is this like the what do they call it? Like is it like Flash and the Reverse Flash, or Lex Luthor and
like
Superman?
Inception kind of thing? Like you're the one guy, and so you need to find out they're one guy, and then y'all like have tea one day, and then the world explodes.
Oh my
Because I don't watch hardly any of this drama because I'm blocked from all of it, so I don't see any of them anyway. So I thoroughly depend on you and other members of the community.
Well, I find it difficult now because
tell me what happens.
Yeah, because they mostly block me as well now on pretty much every platform. So I rely on what people send me, because you would not believe the things people send. Some of it is really bad, but I just think, often I can't find a reason to use it. That's why I don't always use it. So there'll be something that is blatantly anti-white or blatantly anti-something, but it hasn't got any knitting relativity to it at all. So I struggle with that, because although I kind of think people should see it, it's like, well, what am I really? I'm a knitting
you're
magazine person.
You don't want to be all. I mean, a little tea is fun, but not the whole thing.
And then this image here at the bottom, I drew this, and we had a photographer who did the cover for issue 2, and they offered to do some work for us, and I said, is there any chance you could do a photo? And the idea was for them to do this particular photo. So have a pair of hand-knitted socks and somebody about to walk on broken glass. Because obviously what that's supposed to signify is Christy glass. You know, then, and the idea is it kind of has a few meanings. One is that broken as in, they destroyed her. But at the same time, by standing on her, they're going to hurt themselves, because, there's shards of glass, there's ways she can get back at people, kind of thing. But in the end, they couldn't do it for various reasons. Because I think they were still in lockdown at the time, wherever, because I think, were they in Canada? I forget where they were now. So anyway, so I ended up drawing this, and then it was this drawing that made me think, I may as well do more, I may as well, So then I did the drawing of Adela. Now, this drawing is, the quote is a direct quote. She said these things.
You are a really good artist.
Oh, thank you. Well, I am an illustrator. That was my first thing. I did that at uni. I also did English at uni, but I did that after.
Which is like, I know I'm not related, but whatever issue, like the person framed it.
Oh yes, yeah. Zoe, yeah.
Like, I mean, that just tells you you're a really good illustrator.
Well, yeah, it made me laugh because Adela. Well, I don't know whether it was Adela that said it. Somebody said that this drawing was Jim Crow, a Jim Crow drawing. Now, to me, I had to find out what that meant, because Jim Crow isn't a British thing, is it? It was an American thing.
But not a real person.
Yeah, well, I did wonder. I was thinking, why is Jim Crow an artist? Is he a racist artist, or is that what they're accusing me of? But yeah, the thing is, this is a lifelike drawing, and the point is, I try to do the drawings that I do of these people as lifelike as possible, because I don't want them to say, they did a caricature of me that was, a racist stereotype or whatever. The fact that she's wearing the bonnet, she was wearing a bonnet, when she said these
in the
things.
video, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, okay, and they could get mad, and people can say crap about me. I don't really care. And is it flattering? No, it's not. But her videos, if you've watched them, are not so much flattering. I mean, you need to be aware of,
Well, the one I did of Zoe from Boutique Crochet or Crochet Boutique, I can't remember what the username is now. I mean, she presents herself very well. She's always done up. She has weird hair, but she has the makeup on, and she kind of, And the one I did of her, that's the one she's framed, because obviously it is a flattering picture of her. You know,
Right.
it's not made to look ugly. Whereas Adela, this is her face. You know, she's always frowning. You know, she's always, you know, and it's like, well, that I haven't made any of that up. That is what she looks like. But this was one of the problems that they had with this, and I just found that quite funny because I did predict this. I knew that this would happen.
But she said it too, those words. So
yeah, exactly her words. Yeah, and the funny thing is in this and also with the one with Fatima, which I think is issue 2 or is it issue 3? I forget. But you know, they're the ones that are actually racist, that have said racist things, which we can prove.
Right.
Whereas none of them can show any stuff. You know, there's a whole magazine here that they could quote from, you know, and they never can. You know, they never can, which makes me. Now, this also got me into a lot of trouble, but I loved every minute of doing this. And I know some people on our side of the game didn't like this either. So, you know, it didn't go down well 100%. So, but the thing about this was I knew that if I did this, if I redrew the picture, I would be accused of being racist. So I used the picture that they did themselves and I flipped it the opposite way round. I turned the smile upside down. I added the doll, changed the colors of what she was wearing, and then basically made it my own. So that got around the copyright issue as well, because now that image is my copyright. Right. Because I've changed it, and they could do the same with any of my drawings. They could change something on it and then it would become theirs. But the point about this is just because of how, you know, nasty she's been to people. And the Lola Mean Yarn Company, that is something she's called herself. She coined that. I didn't name her that.
No, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, but somebody had said.
Well, why did people give you crap about this one?
Oh, quite a lot.
Because of the kid?
Yeah, because what a lot of people were saying was that I was attacking her child. But the point was that I turned that into Adela. So the idea is that the doll is Christy Glass.
But also, I mean, are we going to talk about the fact that she completely pimps out her own kid? I mean, when you put your kid on the face of your label, first of all, your kid can't consent to any of that. Whether or not you ask them and say, and they're like, yeah, sure, I want to be on the label, mommy. I mean, they don't know. Kids don't have the understanding of what all that might mean. So you're the one that's made your child the face of something that child may not want to be 10 years down the road. And now she's forever and ever going to be on the interwebs and on these things and in the middle of all this drama that, you know what, in 10 years, she might not want to be in.
Yeah, I mean, they've posted videos of her having tantrums and all sorts of stuff.
I get it. If you have a public persona, you know, yeah, you're taking that risk to put your life, your family out there, but maybe you need to think about that a little bit before you do that, you know?
Yeah, there's ways and ways, isn't there? It's like, you know, if you're doing a podcast like the other day, I think Devin did a podcast and her daughter came on it. Right. You know, it's like, that's fine, because I think the elder daughter said she wanted to go on it, whereas the younger one wanted to come in and speak to Devin, you know, speak to her mum about something. And that was kind of incidental, but she isn't using her daughter's image to sell.
And I get it. I know there's kidpreneurs and all that, kid entrepreneurs, and they make businesses and that's fun, and parents may help be involved in that. There's kids celebrities and all that kind of stuff, but kids really can't consent to all that. And I really dislike the whole marketing on your kid thing, period, whether it's a celebrity or not. I mean, how many child celebrities and child actors and actresses do we see as examples of that didn't go well?
Well, yeah, speaking of which, I watched no, I didn't watch it. It came on Home Alone. You know, that didn't go well for him, did it?
Right. A lot of them. So just one more reminder, children can't consent to anything.
So NZ New Zealand Knitter, is that NZ Knitter? You capture her mean personality.
Yeah.
And oh, here we go. BS. Oh, BS is the graphic designer, by the way. So everyone say hi to BS. So
yes, and she suggested for your washcloth, you should just have it say BS, because then it's for her, but also.
Well, BS. So if you're thankful that your eyes aren't going to bleed anymore by my graphic design efforts, this is who you need to thank. Yeah, they can't stand it when you put a mirror up in front of them. Yeah, it's pretty true. Right, now I've lost my screen. Where's it gone? Here we go.
Oh.
Yeah, so the other thing was I just wrote another direct quote, which is in the handwriting here. I don't answer to white people, which is what she said. You know, and there's no getting around that.
No, that's pretty racist. But
yeah. Then we go back onto the pattern. So this was by Deplorable Knitter. I mean, another white supremacist pattern, clearly.
Which I still love. They're like, oh my God, her name. Like, y'all realize she picked that name because you called her that.
Yeah. What basket of deplorables, wasn't it? Or did somebody actually call her a deplorable?
Well, I think they called her and all of us deplorables. So she just took their words and used it as, again.
Yeah, it's like evil Santa, isn't it? And the other, the other things, yeah. And then we had a really nice article from Maria of Tuscan Knits, where she talks about her story. And somebody who was, and I don't think it ever was her, but somebody pretending to be a dramatic potato. And if people don't know who that is, go and ask Tina. Somebody wrote me a really nasty email doing a review of the first issue. And the funny thing was the person in there said the only thing in it that, was okay was Maria's article. And I thought, well, at least they, at least one thing they liked, But yeah, it's a really cool article actually, and I'm still sad that she's not down anymore. And then here is the vloggers and the podcasters. I mean, this is only a few now. We keep adding to them. I think, you're there, Two Sisters and Some Yarn. So if you want to see more of Amy and her sister Denise, get onto that one there. We've changed the way this looks, or BS has changed the way this looks now, so it's a bit more professional. Everything's a bit more professional now. And then this was kind of like the big pattern of issue 1, and the person pretending, I think they were pretending to be Dramatic Potato, tried to pretend that every single thing in the magazine could have been knitted in an afternoon. So I did a challenge and just said, I challenge you to knit Backroads in an afternoon. Go. I'd be interested to know if anybody's knit this though, because I've not heard if anybody has.
I've not, but I don't garment knit really. So.
We cables, got a lot of. Sorry, go on. Sorry, Amy, I was talking over.
It's got cables, right?
Yeah.
I don't want
cable. We got so much kickback because of the rifle. And the cowboy hat, and the fact
because clearly she can kill you just having the gun in the picture, because that's how guns work. Yeah,
I mean, it's clearly loaded with a nuclear bomb. We don't know what's in it, do we?
I mean, you don't know if she was going on Backroads to hunt her some deer. I mean, why are you assuming?
Yeah, she was obviously on a racial hunt, wasn't she? She with her Confederate flag.
Oh wait, we can't eat. I forgot we can't kill deer either. So well.
Okay. Then here we have the advert to join Patreon, and then the designers and indie dyers. What I do here is if somebody has submitted a pattern for the magazine, then they get free advertising. But I'm going to relook at this and find out, and try and do a better way of doing the advertising, because I kind of feel like I don't know, it's a complicated way that I've got it set up, because they have to do it through Patreon, and I know a lot of people will not touch Patreon with a barge pole now, which I get. If I wish I had other options at the moment, but
right.
So that's something else I'm going to be looking at. I'll probably be asking BS Designs about that, because she's got quite a bit of experience in that regard as well. And then on the back, we did the advert for issue 2, which was this cover as well. This was funny because there was a whole thread on Reddit about this issue, and they showed this because they could see it. They could see that there was this coming issue cover, and somebody thought that was a picture I had stolen of Christy Glass, and said, does Christy Glass know he's stolen this picture? And it's like, it doesn't even look like Christy Glass. But some of the other things which I should clear up is, no, Christy Glass does not fund the magazine, because that was something that was going around for a while. Neither does Nathan Taylor, the Sockmatician. He doesn't fund the magazine either, and he isn't the secret mastermind behind the magazine, because that's what they were saying for a while as well. To be fair, Christy and Nathan are probably diametrically opposed to me in terms of politics, and
Probably,
that
yeah.
they're not going to align themselves with me, put it that way. And also the what are the two guys called? The knitting.com guys are not funding the magazine. There's a reason the magazine is free. Think about that. Think for a minute. So right now I can put the screen down so I can actually look what's going on in the comments. So I just wondered, has anybody got any questions about the magazine that you want to post, and I'll answer them, or any questions for Amy as well, obviously.
Because I'm important.
Of course you are. You're the guest.
I am going to show off my sweatshirt though, in case somebody wants one. Oh, wait, I can't tell which way to go. Okay.
Do you know, if I tried really hard, I'm giving this away now, but I couldn't do it. I tried to do a dissident, but I couldn't do it. Yeah, I'm not quite good enough to do that. But yeah, if anybody can do one of the dissident patterns and make it into that logo, send it me and I'll put it in, because I'd love to have that one.
Yeah, this is from 13/7 Designs on Etsy. She's got all kinds of different stuff, but
yeah, that's quite cool. Someone's put, I follow Christy Glass now as a result of her mobbing. I admire her for rebooting quickly. Yeah.
No. I never know who anybody is. I didn't know who she was until all the time.
It's probably best you didn't know, actually, because then you keep out of the drama. Yeah, the thing that I quite admired about what she did was she said nothing. She said absolutely nothing in response. And, and I think sometimes when you look at...
She didn't apologize?
Yeah, very early on she did. She made the mistake of apologizing, and she apologized for the magazine thing, saying, I can't remember how she phrased it, but basically they said it wasn't good enough. It wasn't a good enough apology. So it's another example of never apologize, because it doesn't matter what you say, it'll never be right. But then the other thing that she did after Adela did her video where she was saying all these awful things about her, she shared a video of their text message conversation, which basically proved Adela was lying, and it did prove she's a liar. So sue me, Adela, you are a liar. and I've got that. I managed to keep that, so I've got that in my back pocket if I ever need to share it. But the thing is, I've never shared it because I'm not in it, if you know what I mean. It was a private conversation between the two of them. And Christy Glass was always very nice to her, as far as I could see on there anyway. I don't understand what this is. What's the Sin Eater? He's the Sin Eater.
Who's the Sin Eater?
I'm not sure. I'm going to be a big head now. I'm going to put all my original artwork, and I love it. The drawings are very good. Please keep the drawings naughty or nice in the last issue of the year, as Amy suggested. Right, yeah. Drop stitch for the rest of the year. I do like the idea of some drop stitched being nice things. You're all too nice. You want nice things all the time.
Those could be picked up stitches. See?
They could. Is there a proper name for picked up stitches? Is it just picked up?
Just picked up stitches.
But the thing about that, though, is it almost feels though, if I do a good thing as being a picked up stitch, it's almost like they had dropped a stitch and now they were being picked back up. So I kind of feel like it needs to be something that doesn't infer that they've somehow been brought back from something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why I'm kind of thinking, the naughty or nice thing. But I'm still thinking about it, and I'm going to ask quite a few people what they think. So has anybody asked any questions?
Yeah, NZ Knitter has one.
Where is she?
Where's it in? Oh, Neil is our Sin Eater because he consumes all the horrible stuff, so we don't have to. Oh, you're the Sin Eater.
Well, luckily I'm not religious, so I can.
So we don't have to.
Yeah. So I think it's New Zealand Knitter. Will you interview Marie or Nathan? Well, Marie interviewed me. I have to say though, it was a dreadful interview from my point of view, because it must have been the crack of dawn for Marie, and it was about midnight for me. And it gets to, even though I don't sleep very well, I'm usually up till 2-3 in the morning most nights. I'm not very coherent after about 11:30.
That's a hard time change. to work
Yeah.
with.
Yeah, and I think I came across as a bit of a numpty, really. I was sort of saying stupid things, and I don't know. Yeah, it was almost like when you're slurring your words because you're drunk, even though I hardly ever drink, and I wasn't drunk, honestly. But yeah, so I mean, I will at some point I will ask Marie to come on, and I have asked Nathan. He doesn't respond I understand. I think he's just laying very, very low at the moment. I would love to interview Nathan. If Nathan is watching, you will always be welcome to come on and interview. You'll always be welcome if you wanted to write an article or anything, and I'll put it in. Regardless, write your shopping list and I'll put it in. Funnily enough, I was watching. I'm knitting something at the moment, and I rewatched his brilliant SSK video. So if you get a chance, watch it. It's only short. It's only about 5 minutes long. But if you've struggled with your SSKs, so your left leaning decreases, he has a really good way of tackling that, and it does work. And I wished I'd done it earlier in the project. So now I've got like loads of wobbly ones and now some really neat ones.
I know mine is messy, so I need to go watch that. So
yeah. Oh no, it is good. And he does two. There's one called the Zorro one, which is based on the Z, because it kind of does this Z shape, which I have to say, as a very tight knitter, that's no good for me. And he does say if you're a loose knitter, it'll work for you. If you're a tight knitter, it won't. But the other one does work. There we go. We've got our increase stitch is the so should we call the drop stitch decrease stitch, or keep it as drop stitch?
That is true. Decrease and increase, because they're definitely taking away from the happiness of the world. So.
Oh, maybe it should be froggy. So how long have we been talking now?
An hour and a half.
Wow. God, mine are always so long, aren't they? I don't know how other people manage to keep theirs, dead on time, because I just ramble and ramble and ramble.
That's because I told you, you're so easy to talk to. It's just like talking to whoever. You kind of forget that you're like on and other people are watching. You're like, oh wait, what did I say?
Oh, thank you. That's nice. It's funny, isn't it? Because I always thought that I wasn't able to talk to people, and it's only recently that I've been, like if you're out in the wild, if you go anywhere, like I do end up talking to complete strangers, but I just thought everybody did that, and I just thought I wasn't particularly very good at it. But I didn't realize not everybody does talk to strangers, do they?
No, my kids they would always be like, why are you talking to that person? I'm like, I don't know, because we're standing in the line together and we're both bored and I liked her sweater. I don't know. Just want to say it.
This is a good point. Dropping a stitch is usually an accident, where decreases are usually on purpose.
True.
Ooh, now we're getting deep. So does that mean if they've deliberately done something nasty, we should go with a decrease? And if they've accidentally done something nasty, then it's a drop stitch.
Unless it's a drop stitch pattern where you're purposely dropping.
Oh!
Now it's all messed up.
Yeah. Oh, well, I should say, so issue 7 is the birthday issue. I think I've already mentioned that. And I'm going to try my hardest to get it released on the same date as it was last year, but it might not. It might be a couple of days, because I know BS, the designer, I know she's got a couple of weeks holiday. How dare she have a holiday? BS, I think you need to cancel it. The magazine is more important than your happiness.
I don't get a holiday for 2 weeks. What's up with that? That sounds racist. That's probably racist.
So I don't know. Have you got anything else you want to talk about? Anything that's happened?
Not so much, but I'll show off my half and half that I painfully.
Oh, is it finished now?
It's finished, and let this be a lesson, kiddies, to make sure you have enough. Make sure you have enough yarn.
Let me make you bigger. So how do I make?
You have enough yardage, and you don't have to beg your sister to give you an almost matching color. But I don't care. Can you see it? So I will definitely make more of these. Ooh, the color changed when I did that. Ooh, how do I get the color back? Okay. I will definitely make more.
Cool. You could put the lighter color all the way around if you could be bothered. Like a ball.
No, because you're making a triangle.
But could you not pick up around the other end of it as well? Do you know what I mean?
But I don't know if that would really.
It doesn't need it, does it? But
because this half you do first.
Right. Did you not get bored doing all of that? Because is it all garter?
At the end, I did, but it's because you start small and grow big, and then the other way around is, But since the garter goes two different directions, it looks cool. But at the end, the last rows before you switch to the other half, it's a little mind-numbing because it's 190 whatever stitches, and then you're going all the way across, picking it up, and then going all the way back, and then going across and picking it up, and going all the way back. So
when you pick up.
I will probably use minis or stripe both sides.
I was just going to say, if you're the kind of person like I am, where I could not knit that color for that amount of time, I would have to keep changing the colors, I think.
But it was such a pretty color. And I have bought sweater quantity thinking I was going to make a sweater, which was stupid because it's me. I'm not going to make another sweater. And, because until this week, we didn't have winter. So, why would I need a sweater's quantity? But so it was pretty, and I held 2 fingering double, whereas the pattern is just fingering. I think it's just the linen quill. So I can't imagine doing this in just one strand of fingering. That I'd go crazy because it would take way too long, and no. And then like Yolanda, our friend Yolanda is doing half and half squares. And then
I saw those.
Join them, kind of like a mitered blanket. That looks really cool, and that would be a good way to use your minis.
And that's using exactly the same techniques, isn't it?
Yes, because they have a washcloth pattern, which I made the washcloth. If anybody wants to make this, I would make the washcloth first to learn how to pick it up, because the first time I made it, I definitely didn't pick up as nice.
Do you pick up into the front, or do you pick up into the back of the stitch, or does that give away the pattern?
It's free. It doesn't matter. I don't remember.
If it's free, then I'm going to download that. Then
I don't remember. I did actually use my brain enough to not, because when you change colors on the wrong side, you get the
you get the bump.
The little,
yeah.
So I actually remembered and paid attention.
Well, what you could do is if you are a person like me that would get bored, but do it as a cushion cover instead.
Right. So you can take but what I'm saying, the washcloth pattern, it's not a washcloth. It came out like kitchen towel size.
Ah, right.
So I would suggest, so you could figure out the math and look at the washcloth pattern, look at the purl pattern, and figure out, I don't know if it's a multiple, or I don't remember what the math is. I don't remember the cast on. And then you could easily just change the number.
How many skeins did you use in the end of each? So you've got 2 separate colors there.
The gold was 5 skeins, which held double. And then the gray didn't make it all the way to the end. So I have a bigger gold right here. The gray was
So it is a sweater's worth then, isn't it? It's easily a sweater's worth.
Oh, yeah, because it was 5 gold and then 2 different colors. It was a grayish kind of one and a all gray.
So if anyone breaks into your home, they need to steal that, because that'll be very expensive.
And I will hunt you down.
What are you going to do with it? Is it going to be a throw for your settee or your
bed? It's
a
little sofa blanket. I use it on the sofa, and it's a nice big cozy. I don't know how you would wear it as a wrap, because I know the point is you fold it at the triangle and you put it around your neck. That seems big and cumbersome and silly to me, which I guess is why it's supposed to be one
fingering. Yeah.
One fingering, not 2. If I follow directions, it probably would work. But I don't follow directions. But no, I knew I wanted it for a big, because Leslie of Naughty Knitwits has made a gazillion.
Oh, she made one, didn't she? Yeah.
She makes these all the time for people, and she actually follows the pattern and actually uses the linen quill like you're supposed to. But it was really cool looking, and I'm like, I like that the garter goes 2 different directions. It's just different, and it's squishy, and it came in really handy this week when we were freezing here.
Oh, we've had a question. I need to hold my hands up. I've not spoken to her for a while, so they're not coming along at all. I need to contact. I will contact her actually and say we need to do it. I did send her a load of videos. I sent her links to Very Pink Knits, even though I can't stand her, because people probably don't know. But she, when the whole Ravelry thing happened. When everyone got booted off and everyone left, she posted a thing saying, "Oh, now they've all gone. I'm giving away a pattern as I can't remember how she phrased it, but basically I sort of had a bit of a go at her, and then I got blocked by a load of them. This is before I even did anything, with the magazine or anything. Yeah, because I just thought he was just a bit nasty. It was a bit like you kind of celebrate.
Really good tutorials though.
Well, yeah. So I have sent those on to her, so I will contact her, and because what I would have liked to have done is I won't do it live, but I'd like to record it. Because I think there'll be some funny moments because she's so funny, isn't she? She's funny. And what I've got to work out, I've got my old iPhone. This is more information I know that you don't need to hear this, but I've got my old iPhone and I need to kind of work it out so that I can film my hands knitting and also have the camera that I can, and I don't know how to do that yet. So these are all excuses, I know. Excuses. Have I missed any other questions, by the way?
I don't think so.
So do you want to tell us a little bit more about your pro-life stuff then? Because last time you were on, you talked about the vaccine stuff's been interesting. Recently,
I just piss people off in every direction. I'm an equal opportunity pisser offer. I started going. Not that I'm not little sis of Two Sisters with Some Yarn, although that one time that I was totally on Politically Incorrect Knitters and had Big Sis at the bottom the entire time.
Yeah.
I was like, I called myself Big Sis the whole time. Didn't even realize it till the end of the show. And they're like, we thought you were being funny. I'm like, no, I'm just stupid.
I remember watching that.
I'm just dumb. But no, I created the Pro-Life Knitter because I was posting a lot of pro-life stuff, and Two Sisters and Some Yarn is about yarn. It's about knitting, and it's while we may have other interests, it is about yarn and knitting. And then I didn't want it to become like a whole thing. And I had some serious rants I wanted to go on, so I didn't want to do them on to the Two Sisters Instagram. So that is me, Pro-Life Knitter. If you look me up on Instagram, that's me. So I just had enough of it. I was like, I'm tired of being quiet. I'm tired of I guess because I've always been against abortion, but I guess I'd never really quantified all the arguments. I just kind of always
it's interesting because
to me. So
because there always used to be one or two. I mean, I had a really interesting conversation with Anna Knitter. The lady that deals in our Opal yarn in Germany, she's lovely, and she does a lot of stuff that's pro-life, and she kind of answered every not doubt that I had, but every if you say you're against abortion, somebody always comes up with something that makes you think, oh, right, usually it's the incest or the rape.
And I used to be I'm against abortion. I think it's wrong. However, who am I to tell a woman what she could do with her body? And for the longest time, that is what I believed, even though I believed it to be wrong. And I knew that I would do everything in my power to ask a woman to not do that. I did think, who am I to tell her what to do with her body? So I started thinking about that more because I do believe in body autonomy. And I started thinking about that more as well.
Until you realize it's not her body.
Wait a minute, I'm taking away the baby's autonomy. Yeah. The baby has a right to autonomy as well. And I'm pretty sure he'd say, hey, I don't want to die. Yeah. So that's when I started thinking about it. And I do generally stay away from any legislative stuff. That's not my business to go out there passing laws or, protesting laws or whatever. The laws are what we have. And at every state should make those decisions. But my point is to actually support the women. I'm not going to make any amazing changes with legislation, but maybe I could help a woman.
Well, the thing about the body autonomy thing that I keep thinking about now, and I don't know, I'm not saying I've formulated this myself. I'm sure I've picked this up from other people, but I just think, why are you not, why do you not care about, not you, but why do these people not care about the bodily autonomy before you get pregnant? You know,
Right.
there's nothing stopping you from trying to not get pregnant.
Right. And the
You know,
general, it has been really interesting watching the conversations occur. I don't get a ton of them on my page, but I will go comment on other things and then I will encounter people. But I've had a few people come, and their main argument, which is a logical fallacy, is that though they consented to sex, they didn't consent to pregnancy.
but then if you're having sex that can create life,
Right.
you have to think it through, don't you? You know?
And that's what I try to be. I try to be gentle, but also a little sarcastic because I can't help that, you know. So at one of them recently, I told her, I said, "Well, that is the equivalent to saying I'm going to go skydiving, and I consented to the skydiving, and then as soon as they pushed you out the plane, I said I'm not consenting anymore.
Oh,
You
here's
knew
one
what
for
would
you.
happen when you got in that plane.
I
You knew what would
consented
happen
to
when you
eating all
jumped."
those chocolates, but I did not consent to getting fat.
So, and then of course, then that will lead to the argument of, well, what about the people that didn't consent to sex and they got pregnant? And I'm like, that's a very good argument, but
And it's a very
97%
different story.
of
Yeah.
abortions are not those
Yeah.
cases. If you, most pro-life people like myself, if you take the 97% that are completely elective out of the equation and we're only looking at the ones that are incest and rape, we are willing to discuss those options.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's like if you took away the abortions that are just, you know, after pregnancy contraception, you know, rather than pre-pregnancy contraception, then we've got a real discussion. You know, then
Right.
you've got some real hard
Right.
things to look at. But like you say, if they, you know, the others are muddying the water and the others are not, you know, they're not justifiable at all to me.
Right.
And
And
I'm not.
I genuinely think that most people who are super, super pro-choice were more like me. I don't really like abortion, but it's not my place to tell them. And that comes from a society of, you can't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're being told to help each other and support this and support that and be a community. And we're supposed to help, you know, lift each other up. But you don't want to lift up a pregnant woman.
Well, it's all the other things that it can lead to. So this is how they'll justify, you know, euthanasia when
Right.
people aren't necessarily wanting to die, you know.
Well, I'm against that too, and that's what I make very clear: is I am pro-life from the womb to the tomb. Like I don't believe in euthanasia, and I don't believe in the death penalty. I don't think it is our human right to take another life.
Here's something that will get all the religious people excited with me being, you know, an atheist and all. I keep thinking about this thing in the UK where they're banning, you know, the prayer thing in the vicinity of an abortion. And I keep thinking, why are they doing it? Why does it matter? I can understand them banning people holding signs of, you know, aborted fetuses.
Right.
I get that, you know, because, you know, that's going to be disturbing no matter what side of this argument you're on. And I understand, you know, trying to hinder people going about their business isn't something you're allowed to do. But to pray silently, even if you just stood there quietly, why do they want a vicinity where there's no prayers?
Right.
And it's really playing on my mind because it makes me, because I'm not religious, but I think, do they believe that prayer has some kind of effect on something? Do you know where I'm going with this? It's
and yeah, because in America, I don't know how it is in the UK. A lot of, you know, part of the pro-life movement is they have the sidewalk counselors who they stand outside the abortion clinics. That's the whole point of the 40 Days for Life was created, because they made a plan to pray for 40 days straight every hour outside of the abortion clinics and to be there. And they found that when the people are outside the clinics, it does stop women. Now, the graphic signs, that usually doesn't stop people. That's taking it too far.
It's like showing the lungs on the cigarette packets, isn't it? It didn't stop anybody, did it?
I mean, I think people should know what it looks like if you're going to do it, but that's not informed consent. That's scaring people. But they've found that if there are people praying, and just even if they're not, and I don't know how everybody is. When we pray, we are not a hands up in the air. Like prayer is quiet and private for us. So if I was to be that person, I would be like that lady, just standing there.
Yeah.
you wouldn't know I was praying. I wouldn't be kneeling down, hands up in the air, or wailing or anything like that. I would just quietly be standing there.
And here's the thing as well that I
So,
found weird about that whole situation is nobody would necessarily know what she was praying for. For
no,
all anybody knows, she could have been praying for abortion to be even bigger than it is already. You know, you
right.
just don't know, do you?
She
Or
could have been
who she was
praying,
praying to.
I hope that abortion is safe. I mean, you don't know.
You don't know, yeah.
So,
It could be anything, couldn't it? Oh, here we've got a few comments here. They want the government to be God, not people to have the choice to answer to a higher power than the government. That's interesting, isn't it? I mean, that's I find that interesting, being somebody that doesn't particularly believe in God
when you
as
have
well.
faith, you don't care. I mean, yeah, sure, you've rendered to Caesar, you follow the laws of the land, but at the end of the day, if your laws of the land make me contradict my faith, then I'm going to break the laws of the land. So
Right.
when you
Okay.
take away, when you try to take away people's faith, you're taking away that little bit of what they keep. Well, you know, you can't control it. You can't control somebody's faith. You know.
Well, the only thing I would say, I mean, it's difficult for me to know where I think I've said this before on another podcast with someone, where my morals come from, because I don't know whether it's because I was brought up as a Christian, as a Catholic. My dad at one point was a police officer. He stopped being a police officer before I was born. So, but I was definitely brought up with quite strong morals in terms of stuff. And I don't know whether my stance on abortion is because of that, or because of something, just because I'm innately, believe that killing children is wrong,
Right.
So I don't know. I can't, because I kind of
easy.
want to argue with you against that. I want to say, people that don't believe in God, it doesn't mean that they don't have morals. But then I don't know whether.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm
know.
saying the government, if they could take away your right to even have faith, they're taking away something not tangible. I mean, they could take away your food, your clothes, and your house, but they can't take away your faith. So if they could stop somebody from praying, that's their way of getting to the things that are not tangible.
Yeah.
You would really like the secular pro-life account. That's what she calls herself on Instagram, secular pro-life. They're a pretty large group organization. They spit some cold facts, and they are secular. They are atheists, and a lot of them are atheists. A lot of them are just not any, they're agnostic or whatever, but their arguments are pretty doggone, because that's the other argument. It's, it's just a religious thing.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we just think murder's wrong.
Yeah, have you seen that? I don't know the name of the guy, but I keep seeing it come up on my feed, because obviously Instagram and Facebook and everything reads our minds these days, doesn't it? And you get like targeted sort of things sent to you, and it's he kind of says that thing about I believe in women's autonomy and they can do whatever they want with their bodies, and then he just goes, but it is murder. And he's like, yeah, okay, I can go with that argument.
Like Gail says, I'm pro body autonomy because I shouldn't have to take a drug I do not want. I mean, the same people screaming my body, my choice also said, put on your mask and stay home, you
get injected,
crotch goblin. I mean, you don't care about body autonomy if you're picky and choosy about the body that you want to have autonomy.
Oh, hang on, what's this? We've got a few comments. Hate doesn't move people as much as kindness and love do, regardless of the situation. Depends, I think. I don't know. I kind of get what you're saying, but
I think hate gets far more media attention than kindness.
Yes.
I think hate sells papers.
Yeah, and it's also the thing people remember the most about other people, isn't it? The hateful things they do rather than the nice things. Yeah, but then again, maybe that's how you're looking at it. I don't know. But so what else have we got here? Just putting it out there, it wasn't a white Christian woman praying. Oh, if it wasn't a white Christian woman praying, would it have happened? That's interesting. Yeah, I
if it was a Muslim person doing their prayers, would they have stopped them? Because guess what? There's lots of Muslims who are pro-life.
Well, yeah, the thing that's happening here and in France, and I don't know whether it definitely happens in Scandinavian countries. Where else, I don't know. But often on the Friday, which is the Muslim Sabbath, they can stop whole streets. Are you okay? Yeah. They stop whole streets when they pray. Okay, no, I'll keep talking though, don't worry. So they stop the street and things have to just wait until they finish their prayers. And like there's been cases where bus drivers have stopped the bus, put their mat down in the aisle and won't continue driving until they've finished praying. And nobody dares say a word about that. So I would love some, on a Friday, some Muslims to go to an abortion clinic and just see what happens. Because I think you're right. I don't think they would say a word to them. Yeah.
And that would be a really, really obvious prayer, because don't they, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't they actually like lay down?
Yeah, they get down on their knees, and it almost looks a bit like yoga, doesn't it? To not to trivialize it or whatever, but
pointing in the direction of
Mecca, isn't it? Yeah, but it happens because we have like such a big Muslim population now compared to other religions. It's something we see a lot of here now. So tell us a little bit more about the pro-life stuff that you do personally.
Run my mouth.
You've got a gift. Use it.
No, I pretty much just run my mouth, and then now I'm helping let them live with, the handmade stuff. So, that's where I encounter a lot of crazies is on their account, because they're not, or even though Emily herself and her husband are Christians, they don't run it with a Christian focus.
Right.
Their focus is literally financial, is that 73% of women choose abortion because they can't afford the baby. And we shouldn't be having to choose food or a life. That's just, in today's world, is ridiculous. And as I went grocery shopping this morning, I understand that. $9 for lettuce. $9.
Yeah, I mean, there's if you think about it as well, is that it just takes a little bit of organizing by somebody. I don't know who. It's beyond me. But if you think there are people paying for women to incubate babies for them,
right?
If somebody really wants an abortion and then there's somebody who desperately wants a child, surely there should be some kind of hookup app, where you put them together.
Well, you're only pro-birth. Well, that's another logical fallacy, because clearly if you ask anybody who's pro-life, they've also helped with the gazillion other things and other charities and other organizations. And why don't we talk about why adoption is so expensive? Why don't we work on some other, and they're like, well, you don't care about the societal problems. And I'm like, dude, I work in social work for like 10 years. Yes, I did. I have done the work. Okay. I walked the walk and talked the talk. I did it. Okay. You might not be doing it, but I did it. But why don't we make adoption cheaper? Why don't we?
Well, I don't know whether it's the same there as it is here, but at a certain point, they decided that black children should only be adopted by black parents. You should try and keep people within their own race. Whether that has continued, I don't think it has, but it became a policy at one point, until they realized that Muslims, for example, will never adopt a child. It's against, because it's against Muhammad. He had an adopted child, and there's a rule in the you can't leave any money to an adopted child. Really? So somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but it's in the Quran. There's some I can't remember the exact wording of it. So you very, very rarely get official adoptions. You might get people letting their nephew live with them,
like family.
But you won't get a complete stranger being adopted. And I don't think again, this is a generalization though, this is black people don't seem on the surface of it to be as willing to adopt children as white people seem to be. But maybe, I don't know whether there's a difference in because I think fertility rates are different between different groups for different reasons. I don't know why. I'd hate to hazard a guess on that, but maybe that's one of the reasons.
I'm not putting that. I don't have the science on that. I'm not putting that out there.
I'm already classed as a white nationalist. I don't want to get onto being
I have anecdotal evidence of my years in social work, but that is just anecdotal, and I can't say, one way or another. But
yeah. But it's also like, I think more black women die in childbirth as well, don't they? But there's, but I did a bit of delving into that, and that came in this country as well. It became quite fascinating, because what it turned out was happening is that the black midwives were the ones that were perpetuating a myth that black women could withhold more pain than white women could. But it gets labeled on white people thinking that, which is not the case, because I don't know any white person that thinks there's any kind of difference in pain threshold between races.
No, there's definitely a difference of care that women receive, black women versus white women. That is clearly, that's been proven.
But But again,
Yeah.
again, I can't speak for America, but in this country, most, there's a huge population of black midwives, and the care that you get in
Not
the
here.
NHS is very much multi-ethnic, so it can't be pinned on anything particularly to do with race, really.
Yeah, because see, here midwifery is not even that big a thing. It's state to state differs. So some states have like none, and some states let you. And hospital births is where the maternal deaths in America are different. Is that in the hospital, a black woman is more likely to die than a white woman in childbirth.
Right.
But I question that that's not also some genetic or health issues that woman may have versus. Because I'm not a black woman. I can't say what kind of care I would get, but I have been very much a very poor white woman, and you get crappy care.
Well, as a black woman, no.
So if statistically more black women giving birth are of lower economic level, they're going to receive a poorer care. So,
I think the problem is that there are a lot of reasons that we could probably talk about, but that would make us subject to being called racist. But some of these things are true, especially in a city situations. There's a lot of things we could say are more likely to happen in.
They don't put Planned Parenthoods in the country. They don't put in the rural areas. I mean, there's a reason for that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because wasn't it? I mean, I only know through what other people said, but wasn't it a whole thing initially to get us rid of as many black pregnancies as possible?
Well,
wasn't that the point of it?
She was a eugenist, and so she wanted to get rid of not just black. She wanted to get rid of poor everybody. She was essentially a Hitler. She was a eugenist.
Right.
I can never say that word.
Eugenicist.
He believed in eugenics.
Yeah,
got around it.
But you notice they never talk about that now, though, do they? They sweep that under the carpet.
And did you know who else was a founding member of Planned Parenthood?
Oh, go on.
A senior Gates family member.
Bill Gates? Was somebody in Bill Gates?
Wow. I think it was his grandfather or his father. I can't remember. It's been his grandfather.
Oh, isn't the same Bill Gates that said in a TED talk that they need to reduce the population and they're hoping to do it by X% by the use of vaccines?
Yes, but that was technically taken out of context, so he technically didn't say it the way people interpret it.
Ah, okay.
If you actually listen to his whole thing, I hate to defend Bill Gates, but
traitor.
Didn't technically say it the way
Oh, I was running with that one.
Sorry. No, that's a conspiracy theory that gets you in trouble. See, if you're going to be a conspiracy theorist, you got to know the history.
Okay.
You're going to piss people off. You got to know what they're going to come back at you.
Yeah, it's a chess game, isn't it? You have to be. Saison. I can never say Saison's name.
I can never say it right either. Yeah.
It reads as Cezanne, but we need to say it with a French accent, so I think it's Saison. How did I do? Saison. I wonder if it might be because more black people live in areas with worse, less funded hospitals. That's probably it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they're stereotypically. I mean, I worked at Head Start. I worked at probably. I mean, Head Start over here is a low income government program for preschool that was started in the 60s with the intention of we know these children from lower economic levels do worse in school. So if we give them a head start, they will do better. Turns out, decades later, we now find out they're all the same by third grade. So any benefit you receive from your child going to Head Start is plateaued by third grade. But,
because I'm forgetting you are a bit of an expert in elementary education, aren't you?
Yeah, early childhood. Yeah. So my own children went to Head Start. I taught at Head Start. So it is a good quality program in many areas, and in many areas it is not. Because it's all funded. It's federally funded, but then that money, then there's a percentage that comes from your state. So it depends on how your state handles that. So, but it was intended to serve a lower economic and a black community. That is what it was founded for. And that the majority of my students were black. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, they were my babies, but I was more versed in that community maybe than other people would be. Sorry, is that my token black card? Sorry. I'm racist now.
Yeah, I've got a black friend.
I got one black friend. By the way, I know how to braid the hair too, so go ahead and chalk that up to my racist card too. I had to learn that. So I probably couldn't do it anymore, but I was really good at it.
Oh, you could. Braiding's not that difficult,
Because kids, little girls mess their hair up within like an hour of being at school. And so I was always like, come here.
But do you know what a girl is? How do you know?
I did know what a girl was. And you know what? I had little boys in my classroom that put on dresses and it wasn't a big deal. I didn't care.
Well, yeah, we're getting in a whole new subject now, aren't we? But
that's
what you should do with a child.
Who cares?
Yeah, let them do what they want to do and just don't even make an issue of it, and they'll be what they want to be at the end of it, won't they? Rather.
Well, that's a crazy. That is the craziest pro-life thing pro-choice thing I've ever heard. I actually heard somebody say that in the trans movement that a baby in the womb knows.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
And I was like, wait. I was like, a baby in the womb knows what gender it's going to be. But then I also had a person tell me that baby in the womb doesn't care whether it's killed or whether it lives. So how does it know its gender, but not whether it wants to live?
Yeah, well, the other thing connected with that as well is like how many, once if they find out that there's ever a genetic or biological cause for whatever, does that, for being trans, for being gay, what does that mean that is okay to abort those fetuses then? Are they going to support that? Because they would be against that theoretically.
Right. But like they abort babies with who've suspected Down syndrome all the time. Yeah. Particularly in other countries like Canada, they're like, hey, you want a stair? You want a wheelchair? Assisted suicide. That's all I can give you.
I thought that was a joke when I first read about that. In Canada, it's like, sorry if there's any Canadians watching. I just think, what the hell?
What is going
on? Yeah, it's far worse than Britain. It's probably on a par with New Zealand. I think New Zealand and Canada are.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think on that point, I think shall we? Did you want to say something else? Sorry, I cut you off.
I was just saying, well, we're running long, so let's just go ahead and assisted suicide you. I'm sorry, this took too long. All I can offer you is assisted suicide.
Oh God, can you imagine if you could vote for it? Vote for who you want to be.
That probably will be a thing. That'll be a thing.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, Adam is in Commie Canada.
Oh, so Adam. Oh, Manchester Adam.
But he lives in Canada. Yeah. So yes.
You're sorry you left Manchester now, aren't you, Adam?
That was a great idea at the time.
Oh, it's great. Speaking of Manchester, we had. I had to laugh this morning because I read the local news and we've had a severe weather warning, and I just thought, should I share this with the Americans? Because I know you're just going to laugh. And it was a bit of frost. We're going to have a bit of frost in the morning, and it's like a severe weather warning. And it's like I don't know who it was. So they might even be watching, but somebody shared in America their front room looking out, and it was like watching the Wizard of Oz tornado outside the house.
Yeah,
and it's like. We're getting the severe weather warning.
Yeah, I thought I was being a baby whining about it being cold here because it does not ever get cold here. So for 3 days, we've had below freezing temperatures, which is extremely common here. And our houses aren't built for it, and we don't have clothes for it. Like, we don't own gloves and coats, so I didn't know what to do. But meanwhile, like, Anne is like in South Dakota with like -40 or whatever it was.
Oh, that was the other thing that was funny. Somebody we're on a Telegram chat, aren't we? Someone said that it was somebody said that it was 7 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm cold. That's the same as here, because I was looking on my phone and it said 7. I thought, why is she moaning? Until I realized mine was 7 Celsius, which is it about 40 something? I don't know what that is.
At one point, somebody pointed out that it was colder in their refrigerator. I mean, outside than it was in their refrigerator in South Dakota. Wow. The temperature outside of South Dakota is colder than your refrigerator gets. I'm like, that's crazy.
Here we go. Question. Yeah. Which is worse, Neil? UK PM or it's got to be New Zealand PM. She's what is it? Is it Jacinda or Jacinta? She is a nutter. And to be honest, I have seen very little of Can't forgotten his name. What's the Prime Minister called now in the UK? I've forgotten his name.
You don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Is it Rishi Sunak? No, it's not Rishi Sunak, is it? Is it Rishi Sunak?
Where's Anne when you need her?
Yeah, because he's hardly been on, hardly seen anything.
Hasn't.
It's like hiding under a rock.
And then y'all kicked the woman out like really quick.
Yeah.
That didn't work out.
Liz Truss, wasn't it?
Yeah. She was gone.
Richie Rich, yeah, Rishi, yeah, because he is, isn't he, a billionaire, isn't it? Or his wife is a billionaire anyway. Yeah, he's definitely hiding under a rock somewhere. So that worries me because I think that means they're up to something.
They're always up to something.
Yeah.
Everyone, all of them, all the time.
But I think Rishi Sunak went to the same kind of school thing that Jacinda went to and Justin Trudeau. So it's I forgot what they're called now. What's it called? The World Economic Forum thing. They do a leadership training course thing.
They do.
Yeah, and all of these idiots that we now have as world leaders are part of that. Went to it. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah, Jacinda Ardern. I really feel sorry for you having her as a. How is she still in? Why have you not got rid of her? Oh, she's so sinister, and she's one of them that does that smiling thing.
Yes.
And
crazy eyes.
She would kill you without a second thought.
The crazy eyes, I call it.
Oh, and Justin Castro. Yeah. Yeah, there's no way he's not the son of what's his face is the Fidel.
I don't usually do conspiracy theories, but that one's pretty compelling.
Yeah, I'd like to see the DNA test there. I think, especially when you find out that his mother was a good friend of Fidel Castro's and had did have an affair with him.
There's pictures of them together. It's not like they didn't cross paths.
It's not just made up, is it? Yeah.
No. Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm hoping we don't have another term of it. Yeah, I hope you don't as well. But then the problem is, who do you get next? Because chances are it'll be somebody else that went to the World Economic Forum, hothouse, whatever you want to call it.
You can be sure of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, on that note, I think we need to wrap it up, don't we? Because I'm taking up way too much of your time. So
on my day off too, man.
Well, you're getting a day off for no reason.
I know.
Oh, hang on. No, is it Sunday today? No,
it's Monday, but I don't keep Christmas, but I'll take the day off.
So you've got no excuse then. You should be on. So last time you came on, I don't think we did the thing at the end because I don't think I'd worked out how to do it. So Amy of Pro Life Knitter and Two Sisters and Some Yarn. So go and follow her on both. You have been blocked.